Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with a video on disappointment in the endgame. It is a new video in the viewers game series. It is number 158. And we're going to look at the rook endgame played by one of my students. Apart from running this YouTube channel, I also teach chess online. I'm not sure if my student would mind if I mentioned her real name in this video, so let's just call her my student. She's one of my favorite students. She's very much fascinated by the game, is very enthusiastic and eager to learn. This game was played on chess.com. My student had the black pieces and had a rating of 1111, and her opponent was rated over 100 points higher at 1234. The opening had been the Berlin variation of the Ruy Lopez, and my student had outplayed her higher rated opponent. After 37 moves they reached this endgame. A rook endgame with two extra far advanced pawns for black. Not only that, but also white's rook is passive and white's king is away from the action. Black is winning, but still needs to add the finishing touch. Let's see what happens. White played king e3, activating the king. The b2 pawn is hanging, so he could have played b2, b3 instead, but that doesn't work because of c takes b3. You can take on d3 and the rook gets more active, but there is b2 and a move like rook b3 check does not work. King a4, attacking the rook, rook b7 for example, attacking the a pawn, but there is the very nice move, rook c4 check, king e3 and rook b4, and that b pawn will go through to queen and black will win. So that after b2, b3, but as said, white played king e3. And there is nothing against taking that pawn on b2, and now black is 3 pawns up. Yes, white can activate the king, but not much, because after king b4 the a pawn will go through, and there's nothing white can do against it. But my student did not take on b2, she played rook e2 check. King d4, and now you can still take on b2, because after king c3, really activating the king, you can kick the king back with rook c2 check, and the king has to go back to d4. But black played a5, pushing that pawn, also a good move. And now b3 was played by white, and you should really take it, because after king takes d3 there is again rook c2, and the black king will come into white's position, king b4, king a3, king b2, and white is not going to survive that. But after b3, rook c2 was played by my student, and now white took on c4 with check, rook takes check, and king takes d3. White has won a pawn back, but black is still winning. a4, passed pawns must be pushed, rook e1 and a3. And now rook e8, and it is still winning for black, but white has got some hope as he has been able to win a pawn back and activate his king and rook. Rook c5, attacking the unprotected pawn on f5, good move. White gave a check, king a4, another check, king b3, another check, and now the king is safe on a2. It is in front of the pawn, but black is still winning. The white king is cut off from the queen side. Rook b6, attacking the f-pawn, and now rook d5 check was played by my student, and this is the psychological side of chess. If you would give this position as a puzzle to my student, she would have automatically taken the pawn on f5 with a winning endgame. But I presume my student got a bit flustered here, maybe a bit frustrated that it looked like the win was slipping away, and that's why she did not find the best move here. She gave that check, but after king e4 the f-pawn is now protected, and black's f-pawn will fall off the board. Rook d1, rook takes f6, and now the win is gone. White has now won both pawns back, and his f-pawn is as dangerous as black's a-pawn. Let's put some moves on the board, see what happened. Rook b3, good idea. The threat is king b2, and then the a-pawn will go through, but white is very quick with his f-pawn. And in fact, rook b6 is a nice move, deflecting the rook, and it is white who promotes to a queen. Because of the a-pawn, the game is still in a draw, and my student was able to achieve the draw. So move repetitions, and I'll show you the last few moves of the game. After Queen E2 check, the game was drawn. A disappointment for my student, as she had played very well during the opening, middle game and the start of the rook endgame. She had a winning position with 2 extra pawns and a passive white rook. Unfortunately, after she made some inaccurate moves, white was able to win a pawn back and activate his rook and king, while black's king was not very active. It is important in endgames to activate all your pieces, also the king. The king is a very strong piece in the endgame. White then played it very well, and when my student omitted to take white's last pawn, white was able to promote that last pawn. Thanks to the strength of black's a-pawn, the position was thankfully still a draw. As I said, this must have come as a disappointment for my student. I still remember all the times that I was not able to convert winning endgames, and they are not nice memories. But I'm still proud of my student for her great opening and middle game play, completely outplaying her higher rated opponent with the black pieces. And our next training session between my student and I, we're going to devote to rook endgames. They are the most common endgames in chess. They are very difficult, so it's good to spend time on improving one's understanding of rook endgames. If you are interested in online chess training, you can email me at classroomchess@gmail.com. Also, if you would like your game to be showcased on the Chess to Impress YouTube channel, you can send me the moves by email. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel, and please leave a comment. I will read them all and I will reply to them all. If you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter and on Facebook. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.